And using the quote out of one of your songs, is it better to burn out or just fade slowly away?
Well, for rock and roll, Jimi Hendrix burned out, okay? Bang, he was gone. Kurt Cobain, bang, gone. Buddy Holly, bang, gone. Great, Richie Valens, bang, gone. They went at their peak. And that's the way everybody remembers them. And that's what rock and roll is all about, that edge, the peak, the thing. So you look at that and you go, well, maybe it is better to just burn out than it is to fade away for rock and roll. And this song's about rock and roll. It's not about life. Life has children, it has family, it has relationships, it has nature, it has beauty, it has all of these other things that rock and roll is part of, but rock and roll is its own thing, and it's an animal all to itself. So I was singing about rock and roll. But for rock and roll, if that's all you are, and that's all you want to do, exploding is not bad. But there's a lot more to life than just rock and roll.
Well, there's a lot more to your music than rock and roll.
Yeah. But I love to rock.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be here.
One time, you sent Stills a message, and at the end of it, you said, go eat a peach.
Oh, yeah. We were on our way to Atlanta.
Right.
And the tour was going okay, but it wasn't going
Atlanta,
real well.
Georgia, the peach state.
Yeah. That's all that was. Because I did not want to continue the tour, and I'm spoiled. When I don't want to do something, I stop doing it. Just like when I do want to do something, I'll do it until I'm finished.
Right.
And, you know, unless somebody stops me somehow, but it's not easy. It's not easy to stop me, and that's just the way I am. So it wasn't going well for whatever reasons, and it was not a good thing. And I just decided that was it for me.
Well,
but I love Stephen. Stephen and I are like brothers to this day. I'm playing with him tomorrow night. I mean, we are very, very close.
You know, I interviewed Crosby, Stills, and Nash a couple of years ago. Wish you had been there. But Graham Nash said, and I quote, that you're one of the strangest friends he has. Quote, he wants to get it on the first take and put his heart out immediately, unquote. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Every time I do it, I feel good.
Well, how is your relationship with him now? You said
it's good. It's a real relationship. It's real. You know, we spent a lot of time together over the years. We've done things with each other that have, you know, ticked each other off and made each other mad and gone through and reacted and done this like brothers.
Well, what are the chances of getting together for a concert tour?
You know, they're probably as good as they ever been. And I say the same thing for Crazy Horse.
Well, is that an announcement that you...
No, those are just the chances.
No.
It's just the chances, Dan. Yeah. But Promise of the Real is here right now, up and going. They know more of my songs than both those other bands put together. And I can play whatever I want to play. And at this point in my life, it's nice to be able to draw from different things. They're as intense about it and as knowledgeable about it and as able to play these different kinds of music as I am. I feel like well matched.
Tell me about that. Is it clear when you're on stage with them that an energy develops?
Yeah.
They take energy from you. I mean, they're there with the great Neil Young. I mean, on
well, I'm
stage.
Uncle Neil. I'm their brother. I'm their dad's buddy.
Exactly. And then you seem, to all appearances, that you feed off their energy.
Yeah.
And at some point, this energy gets into the crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd energy goes back. Tell me what it's like being up on stage when that happens.
Well, it's the first, physically, when I start getting to that point, there's a cool breeze. And it comes up my nose and into my head. You can almost feel the inside of my head starting to chill and freeze because I'm breathing and the air gets cold. The higher I get with the music, and I'm just talking about high with the music, not high with drugs or anything else, the more that happens. Now, as I've gotten older, it hasn't happened as much, but it still happens.
Get high on the music.
Well, you get so far into the music, and you're so mindlessly playing, and everybody else is there, that something happens. And as that's happening, this cool breeze comes along. And that's just the way it is.
To be clear, you're not talking about literally a cool breeze. It's
when I breathe in, it's cool, it's cold. and I can feel it.
Well, when did the worst of what I'll call your youthful adventures with interesting pharmaceuticals, when did that really start?
Well, really, when I got to Toronto.
Toronto, a big city.
Yeah, big city.
Yeah.
So I got there, and there was a folk scene there, a place called Yorkville, when I was there. And you know, I'd heard about hash and things like that from these guys from the Village in New York who were playing in this club that I was visiting. And they were talking about their friend had sent some black ganja to them. And I didn't know what black ganja was. And I was going, what's that? You know, and they're all rolling around laughing, you know, because I'm so innocent and gullible. And
Hick come to the city.
yeah, he doesn't know what that guy's funny. But he's a musician and he's into it, you know. So I got exposed to, you know, hash and grass. And then later on, maybe a year later, amphetamines, which were interesting.
And that lasted, that being using those kind of materials?
Well, the amphetamines, it only lasted maybe a year.
But I'm talking about what we call the drug years as a whole.
Oh,
How
yeah.
long did it last?
Well, you know, it's still going on. I mean, you know, it's still here. I mean, I smoke grass. You know, Willie smokes grass. You know, a lot of musicians smoke grass because, frankly, when you're finished playing and you made a record or you've done something, you know, you want to listen to it, grass really opens it up. It's just like you can get totally into it. You don't need to be high to hear it, but if you are, it kind of takes everything else away and you go right into it.
Now, you know,
Don't try this at home, kids.
Well, I was going to say, do you worry about that kids who want to be the next Neil Young may take that and say, well, I better get into marijuana?
You know, I think everybody has to make their own choices. And I'd say this to those kids. Just like everybody else, you gotta make your own way. And you gotta realize that what someone else says, even if you admire them, may not be good for you, and it may be. Who knows? I know a lot of musicians who've been around for many, many, many years who get high one way or another just to relax and listen to the music. It's not damaging drugs. The damaging drugs you can see because people die.
Were you ever in danger of doing that?
Probably, but I might have realized it. You know, at some point, I think when I was 40 years old, I had my birthday party and I just said, well, that's it for the little white powder. No, I'm not going to do any more of that. So I just said no, and that was it. I just moved on. I made a decision.
You've had so many great songs, but if we're going to play one Neil Young song, what are we going to play?
Well, you know, I can't say, because that's what other people are for. I only create the songs. I don't have the future of the songs in mind. I don't have that. If I did, I would miss so many songs where I was so busy taking care of the ones that I'd made that I missed 3 new ones that came in. I was busy, I couldn't do it. I heard it, but I didn't pay attention. That's not happening with me. If I hear it, I pay attention. I'll take care of it until it's gone, until I get it out there, and then I feel like I've done it. And if I think there's something more I can do, like in the case of the Monsanto years on Earth, I'll do it. And I'll try to do it, and then I'll let it go. Now I feel better about that song because of the way I did it. And but it's gone now. It's gone. It's great,
Well,
but it's
would
gone.
you argue with me if I said, well, okay, in answer to the question, Neil wouldn't pick a song, but if I picked Heart of Gold, would you be disappointed?
No, it was a real song. Any song would do. You know, they all do. You know, there's other ones. But Heart of Gold is one that a lot of people know me by. And it's oddly enough, some people think that's Neil, and other people think that's not Neil. This is Neil.
Right.
You know, and I go, okay, great, that's fine. You guys work it out. I'm doing Greendale right now, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm into something else,
Right.
you know, because that's what keeps life happening, you know. That's why this interview is great for you, but there's another interview too. It's down the road a little bit. Then you can feel it coming and what you're going to do. I mean, just sitting around, it comes to you, you know. What
I hope
gonna
you're
do.
right about that.
I do too.